play basketball.
3,000! History with an exclamation point!
Anthony for three. Bang! That one goes down, and the game is tied. Yankees are champions of baseball.
Well, another day, another rumor, another another phrase checking in and zeroing in on and in the mix. We got another one. And that's what we're going to talk about, Yankees fans, for this episode. Here in episode 987 of the podcast. Welcome to BD4. I am your host, RJ. So we have talked about this team countless of times now this offseason, a lot more than we usually do, which is ironic because the Yankees activity, but we talked a lot about the bullpen and how the Yankees have made some moves this offseason, position players, some small moves, some retaining some guys, and they've made a couple of starting pitching moves like Ryan Weathers. Never really went full on with anything, but they never really attacked the bullpen. They usually don't like to attack the bullpen. They usually like to get the under the radar guys. And while this guy that we're going to discuss in this show is by no means a superstar, game-changing arm, he's kind of a household name, and that is the 29-year-old right-handed pitcher, Michael Kopech. He'll be 30 this upcoming season. But yeah, this is a former top prospect. Everybody remembers Michael Kopech from, back when he was the big craze in 2016, 2017 as a top prospect, not just in Boston's system, but in all of baseball, right? Obviously, as part of that big trade, goes to Chicago, has a bit of a career there, ups and downs, and then most recently was with the Dodgers. And, this is a kid everybody knows. This is a kid who touched 105 in high A ball, and he's had some gems, he's had some setbacks, and it's somebody who I wanted for a bit now, and I was very annoyed back when the Dodgers got him a couple years ago. Because I wanted the Yankees to be all over him. And the Yankees actually saw him. They saw him in the World Series 2 years ago, and they actually did a nice job reaching base on him, but they only scored on him once in 4 appearances. Did a pretty good job on him. But they have been interested for a little bit in Michael Kopech, and then recently John Heyman put out a report that said, again, take this with a grain of salt, that they are checking in. Because everybody checks in on everybody, right? You're always checking in. But listen, it is a move I think the Yankees should be all over. If the cost is in their favor, we'll talk about that later. But the talent is all there. I don't think that part's a question. This is a very live arm. Michael Kopech has great velocity. He gets great break. He gets a lot of spin. Great swing and miss. He's a strikeout guy. The talent's there. The flip side has also been there at the same time. He's a guy who's dealt with injuries over the course of his career. He's a guy who's dealt with inconsistencies with his command. Over the course of his career, across 184 games, he's thrown 60 games as a starting pitcher and 124 games as a relief pitcher. 411 innings overall. He's got a lifetime 4.14 ERA, 133 WHIP, 26% K rate, 13% walk rate, and a 215 batting average against. Some solid career numbers. The last 2 seasons, he's pitched 81 games, all of them as a relief pitcher. He's converted full-time, 78 2/3 innings, 3.32 ERA, 123 WHIP, 30% K rate, 14% walk rate, and a 182 batting average against. So much, much, much better numbers once he converted converted full-time to the pen. So I think this would be a nice, low-risk, high-reward, potentially, arm to add to this bullpen, because it's kind of a completely different look for the Yankee pen. You know, the Yankee pen is a pen that is built on pitch mix diversity. You know, a lot of off speed, not a lot of fastball. It doesn't have a lot of velocity. And at the same time, bringing someone like Kopech in here, who throws a lot of heat, a lot of fastballs, I feel like the Yankees could help him better integrate his off speed in his secondaries. Because Kopech has a premier fastball. There's no question this guy's heater is legit. It is a super effective pitch that he loves going to at the top of the zone, above the zone. Just right at guy's eye level. Think they can hit it, looks good, they swing it, they can't even touch it. They can't even touch it. It's an elite pitch that gets consistently elite slash lines on it. I mean, the batting averages year to year usually sit in the 100s to the low 200s. The slugging percentages on it usually sit in the 300s. He gets consistently elite whiff rates on it, which is rare for a four-seam fastball to get high whiff rates, but he sits 25 to mid 30% whiff rate on the four-seamer each year, which is, I want to say that'll usually land you in the top 20% if you qualify, at worst. He's always getting excellent ride. It's a pitch that has a lot of vertical break on it. 1.5 to 2.5 inches of vertical ride every year on this pitch. Again, that'll put him in the top 20% if he qualifies. He always gets great spin on it. 25 to 2,600 RPMs every year. That puts him top 20% at worst. Closer to top 10 probably if he qualifies. Obviously, we know about the premium velocity. He's 97 to 99 consistently. He gets into triple digits multiple times a game. We've seen him do it. That's obviously putting him at the very, very, very top of the league in terms of average four-seam velo. And he's brought back that over-the-top arm slot that he kind of went away for. He was dipping his arm slot a little bit when he came back from Tommy John. Has slowly kind of gone back to being more of an over-the-top pitcher. Gets very good extension, so that helps that four-seamer play up even more. So I just feel like adding in premier heat to a bullpen in the Yankees that was 24th in fastball velo last season, and if you put a guy like Kopech next to Bednar and next to Camilo Doval and even next to Ryan Weathers, if the Yankees decide to put him in the pen, that is some real freaking legit heat. And that is some game-changing heat if those guys are healthy. So as good as his fastball is, it kind of gets a little iffy after that, because there are some questions regarding Mike Kopech's pitch mix. So if you look at his, StatCast page, you'll see that he gets low chase rates often, and that's because he's four-seam heavy. He's 65% four-seam fastballs over the course of his career. He's about 80% four-seam fastball the last two seasons. Excuse me. Hold on one sec. He's abandoned his breaking stuff the last couple of years for the cutter. Curveball, changeup, slider, that's all progressively gotten lower and lower in usage. He has slowly replaced those pitches with the cut fastball. In 2024, he was four-seam cutter slider in 67 2/3. And last season, he was primarily four-seamer cutter in just 11 innings. I think that he, in order to be more of an efficient pitcher, should definitely use the cutter more, because when you look at this pitch, it's a pitch that profiles very well. With his actual slider that he used to throw, it was a pitch that he hung a lot. He had trouble with the grip on it. It got hit a lot. The cutter, and again, this is a very tiny sample with the cutter, but when he throws it, he sits 91, so it's more of a hard slider. It gets good cut. It gets good drop. It gets high spin rates. It gets high whiff rates. It has good slash lines for the small sample. It would make him more of an effective pitcher against right-handed bats. And I also think, again, he's got away from the changeup. I feel like if the Yankees were to go out and get him, it'd be a good idea to work with Matt Blake, work with Sam Brend, and the Yankee pitching team to get him to use the changeup more, because the Yankees and changeups, we know this, they're changeup gurus. They've helped revitalize a lot of guys' careers by getting them to throw changeups and tweak the grips on their changeups. Yarbrough and Rodon being the most recent. I think that would really help him neutralize left-handed bats. It's a changeup that when he throws it, gets very low spin, so that makes it very effective to tunnel with the four-seam fastball. And it's also tough to pick this up because it sits high 80s, low 90s. He throws it with a lot of heat, but it doesn't get a lot of spin. That's a tough hit. It gets good whiff rates, again, small sample, but a lot of swing and miss with it. So there's a lot you can work with Michael Kopech's pitch mix. Again, this stuff is never the problem. That's not the issue. The issue is that this guy has very poor command. And because he mislocates a lot, he gives up bombs, he gives up walks. And those are the two outcomes that are a pitcher's nightmare, especially if they're in the opposite order. Gives up a lot of balls that are hit in the air, and at Yankee Stadium, that could be a nightmare if he's walking guys. Career 89 location plus, 79 location plus the last 2 years. Awful. His chase rates are consistently very below average, we mentioned. So he does walk guys because they don't chase out of the zone. He's got a 13% career walk rate. League average sits 8.5 about. 14% walk rate the last 2 years. A career 1.4 home runs per 9. The heater, obviously that becomes predictable when you're throwing that 80% of the time. Misplaces the slider when he throws it. But if you want some optimism, the last 2 seasons, his home runs per 9 has cut down to 1.0 because he's been throwing more cutter. He's been using the slider less. The cutter has not allowed a home run yet, knock on wood. And that slugging percentage on the four-seam fastball has gone down significantly in the last couple of years. So, would it be a bit of a risk adding a high walk, high home run guy to a bullpen that was top 10 in both walk rate and home runs per 9 last year? And when I say top 10, I mean as in highest to lowest. Yeah, that would be a big risk. And then you consider the fact that this guy is a risk to get hurt a lot more often than a lot of guys are. He's hurt frequently, and he's been hurt with some significant injuries. He debuted late 2018, but he hurt his elbow, and so he missed most of September, missed all of 2019 because of that. He had to get Tommy John. Didn't play in 2020. He opted out because of COVID, but came back in 2021, was pretty healthy, but he did miss a month in the middle of the season there with a hamstring issue. Was relatively healthy in 2022 as a starting pitcher, but he pitched through some knee injuries midseason, and then he missed time in September with shoulder problems. He was relatively healthy in 2023 as a starter, but again, pitched through some injuries, shoulder issues in the middle of the season, some leg and knee issues a little later on in the year. He was very healthy in 2024 as a reliever. And then last season, he missed the majority of the season with both knee and shoulder problems. So that's the risk, is this guy's banged up and he's a bit up and down when he's on the mound. Do you want to add that to the pen? It's a risk I'm willing to take, and I think a lot of Yankees fans are afraid of risk for whatever the fucking reason. You're trying to win a World Series. But I understand it to a degree of why you'd be weary on this. I want to give our final thoughts and maybe talk about what a potential contract, excuse me, could look like when we get back from break here on episode 987 of the podcast.
Quick break here, guys. Stay connected with BD4 on social media. Follow us on Instagram and X at BD4Pod, and find us on Facebook by searching BD4. Don't miss out. Join the conversation. Want more BD4? Subscribe to our YouTube channel and never miss an episode. Hit that like button, drop a comment, and share with your fellow fans. Don't forget to ring that bell so you're always the first to know when a new video drops. Love BD4 but don't have the time to sit down and watch? Don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Spotify so you never miss an episode. And if you're enjoying the show, leave us a 5-star rating and a quick review. It helps us grow and keeps the conversation going.
Okay. Welcome back to the show. Episode 987 of the podcast. We're talking about Michael Kopech. The Yankees are potentially interested here. And, when I say low risk, potentially high reward, I'm simply talking about what really only matters is the value of the contract. What is he going to command? Can't imagine it's going to be a ton that he'll get. Is it going to be more than $10 million? It might be somewhere between 10 to 15. 1-year deal. Is it a 2-year deal? If it is, you would hope the Yankees can tack on an option in that second year. And then, after that contract's up, you let Boris do what the fuck he wants. But I think given the risk and then given the potential reward, I think it's someone you should definitely be willing to gamble on, especially with names coming off the board. Spring training's right around the corner. Pitchers and catchers report in a little over a week. Why not? Why not bring him in? And if worse comes to worse, so what? You wasted, $10 million, whatever it might be. Who cares? You're the Yankees. You'll be okay. You'll survive. I don't think a lot of teams are in on him right now. I think San Francisco is the only other team I've really heard that are in on him. The Dodgers, I don't think they're going to bring him back just because of the moves they've made. Obviously, they've got Edwin Diaz over there now. And I think with the Yankees, losing Devin Williams, losing Luke Weaver. Luke Weaver was good. Devin Williams was good in the second half. But they're gone. And yes, you have a full season of Bednar and Doval. You also lost a lot of other guys. You lost Leiter. You lost Hamilton. You lost Cousins. You lost Evros. You used a bullpen overhaul. And you brought in some guys. And you've made this bullpen a little harder throwing. And I don't think it would hurt to add even more velocity. It is an era where home runs are paramount, and one of the ways you can counter home runs are, power pitchers. Power pitchers to counter power hitters, and I think Kopech is the definition of a power pitcher. So, I would like to bring him in. You see the numbers on the screen here if you are watching the video format of the podcast. Like we said at the top of the show, last 2 years, the man has a 3.32 ERA. His fastball velo the last couple of years has sat 98 miles an hour, 2,600 RPMs, whiff rate just below 30%. His stuff plus 117, which means his stuff is graded out as 17% better than league average stuff in the last 2 seasons with his fastball. 69 location plus, so he's not locating the zone. Or not hitting his spots. Doesn't have to be in zone. So that's the risk. That's the reward. And we talked about it all. I don't want to waste your time any further. Let me know what you think. I appreciate you all for tuning in. Michael Kopech, potential Yankee. We'll see. Appreciate it. Hey guys, thank you for listening to BD4. Be sure to follow us on social media, subscribe to us on YouTube, and give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. We'll see you next time.